My question is to the Parliamentary Secretary for Industrial Relations. Parliamentary Secretary, noting your comment last Wednesday that people have the right in law to exercise their leverage by withdrawing their labour to extract industrial outcomes, what action are you taking to support the current protected industrial action by the RTBU in, quote, a limitation on the manner in which work is performed in the form of a ban on performing work between 10 p.m. every Thursday and 6 a.m. every Sunday indefinitely in order to extract a 37.4% wage rise from the Minns Labor government?
Great question.
The Honourable Mark Buttigieg.
Well, I thank the honourable member for his question, and I simply state some simple facts. We have an industrial relations system where it's legal to take protected industrial action, and it would be no secret, no great revelation that this side of the House supports that, as it is a matter of law, and it is a system which brokers outcomes based on, as I said, the ability for workers to withdraw their labour. If your side of the House don't believe in that, you should come in here and tell us what system you would implement to serve as an industrial relations clearinghouse.
The Honourable Chris Rath.
Because that's the implication of the question.
A point of order. The Honourable Chris Rath.
Thank you, Mr. President. The question had absolutely nothing to do with what our policies are on this side of the House. It was very specific about what action the Parliamentary Secretary is taking to support the current industrial action.
Yes. To the point of order. The Honourable Penny Sharp.
He was ably answering the question and was being directly relevant.
Yes. Look, I say this, a couple of points. One, order. The Honourable Mark Latham is called to order for the first time. I say this. One, I do agree that the Parliamentary Secretary was being directly relevant until he started straying into the opposition, which he will cease to do. The second is that the Parliamentary Secretary will refer all his remarks through the Chair. The Honourable Mark Buttigieg. My
apologies, President, and my apologies for providing that political context. But look, in terms of what I'm doing, the reality is I don't need to do anything because there's an industrial relations system in place which serves, as I was saying, as a clearinghouse. Now I support what the Transport Minister is doing, and that is having extensive meetings over many days to try and broker an outcome with those workers and their unions. And the system we've employed is that we actually sit down and talk to unions and their members about a negotiated way forward. Unlike, Mr. President, unlike those opposite who put up the shutters and found out about rail networks closing on the morning of it happening. Minister wasn't even aware. So if you want to compare our industrial relations record and our history on negotiated outcomes to yours, you should come in here and keep asking us daily, because the reason that those...
Point of order has been taken. The Honourable John Graham.
Mr. President, I would ask you to restrain the Leader of the Opposition. I didn't mind when he was interjecting during the good news, but now he's interjecting during the bad news as well.
I have to say the Leader of the Opposition is being very vociferous today. And we'd appreciate it being dialed back just a touch. The Parliamentary Secretary, if he has anything further to add.
Thank you, President. I'll just finish off simply by saying that further to the previous line, the point I was making is that if you want to compare our industrial relations record with yours, do so by all means, because under our 18 months in government, industrial disputation has been at multiple times lower in terms, Mr. President, in terms of lost hours compared to their tactics, which was to inflame disputes, which was to taunt unions and try and have an adversarial approach. So again, we support the industrial relations system brokering outcomes. The Minister is sitting down and negotiating with them. There will be a resolution to this dispute, and those workers will get an outcome, and the public will be happy to have their transport restored in due course. But we are not going to come in here. We're not going to come in here and take an adversarial approach to industrial relations like they do.
The Parliamentary Secretary's time has expired. One moment. A supplementary question, the Honourable Chris Rath.
Thank you, Mr. President. And my supplementary question to the Parliamentary Secretary is if he could please elucidate, in light of the Minister for Transport's request that the RTBU cease its current protected industrial action, has he also urged the RTBU to do this?
A point of order. The Leader of the
I
Government.
know that you take wide latitude, Mr. President, but I do ask you on this occasion to rule this one out of order. This is a new question that does not reflect or seeks an elucidation of the answer that was provided by the Parliamentary Secretary. It's just trying to get new things on the record.
Look, I have to say that I do allow significant latitude, but I do think that the opposition is pushing the line, and on this occasion I will be ruling this question out of order. I just ask you to consider that issue. We are getting a number of questions that are getting very close to being two entirely different questions. On this occasion, the question's ruled out of order.